everyone. My name is Tyler with Everyday EV and Clean Technica. Today I'm talking with
Misti Murphey. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at Electrify America.
happy to talk with you today.
Same.
So first off, I just want to say thank you so much for this
Of
opportunity
course.
for a quick interview here at Fully Charged Live in San Diego. Super excited. So first, I just want to talk about what you do at EA and
Yep.
how long you've been there.
Great. So I've been with Electrify America for about 4.5 years. My job is to oversee our customer experience, our marketing communications, basically making sure that it's overseeing the digital, the advertising, our social media, but also something called our brand neutral education, which is spreading the good of electric vehicles in a brand neutral fashion. So it doesn't feature or favor Electrify America. It just spreads the good word of all things EVs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you guys just start that program?
No,
this
actually,
year?
we started that 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Awesome. Well, first question I just want to ask you is, I know EA is always about improving the experience of the chargers and
Yep.
the mobile app for new drivers and those who are used to EVs. Are there any future plans that you guys are trying to improve upon at the current moment with just the charging experience, for example?
Yes. So it's a great question. So at Electrify America, one of our things that we pride ourselves is really listening to the EV driver of today, but also the EV driver of tomorrow. So every single social media post, every single plug share post, every single phone call is analyzed, reviewed, and logged. And so for the last 2 years, we've actually been going on this big at the charger user journey experience where we've been conducting field testing, focus groups, and then doing more pilot groups, if you will, of EV drivers to try and understand some of their pain points at the charger. So, for example, you'll see here at our booth, we have the new next generation charger. And this was truly designed and inspired by the EV drivers. So initially, our earlier technology had 2 charging cables, which, depending on where your charge port was, it was meant to go, right?
Yes.
But our new design is 1 charger cable, and that was part of the feedback that there was confusion of the 2 charge ports, right?
Yep.
In addition, we also have a larger screen that's a little bit more recessed. So people wanted a larger screen and recessed to help with the sunlight. And so truly the design is inspired by our customers. I would also say that we rolled out a new charging label strategy to kind of help the EV drivers of tomorrow. And that is to help understand some of the smaller battery size vehicles that they shouldn't necessarily pull up to a 350 kilowatt charger, right?
Right.
Reserve those for those cars that can take it. And so we rolled out ultra fast charging, which is 150. It's an industry term, quite frankly, and then hyper, which is 350. And so the idea is that these new EV drivers start learning: do I charge at ultra or do I charge at hyper? And hopefully leave the hyperchargers for the Porsche Taycans or the Lucid Airs. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
For the faster charging.
yeah,
cars.
exactly. Yeah.
Is there, speaking of those terms, since it's brand new with
Yeah.
Electrify America, was there any focus groups or a lot of research that went in
Yeah.
behind why those terms were used?
Yeah,
for the
that's
new
a great
labels?
question. So it was 2 years, actually, of focus groups, interviews conducted. I would say hundreds of interviews conducted
Oh, wow.
in field testing. So we actually had testers sitting at the chargers,
Okay.
showing different names, asking what they meant, showing different iconographies, what they meant.
Okay.
We also did virtual testing. So it was in-field testing, it was in-person focus groups, then also field testing. And then we followed EV drivers with cameras and just to see how they charge. And so what was the confusion? Why was the Bolt driver pulling up to 350 kilowatt? And then asking them post, focus group. And so this was very much backed by the EV driver, even to the point where they were ranking the names for us, because we had initially like 80 names
Wow.
that we would whittle down.
To kind of pick from. Yeah.
Correct. And then the EV drivers and the focus groups helped us kind of comb it down to what made sense, and then some ranking of names at the end. So very much
Okay.
inspired by the EV driver. Yeah.
It's good because you don't want a Bolt to pull up, or a Mini Cooper Electric to pull up to
The
a
hyper
hyper
station.
station.
That's
Right.
correct.
Don't want
You
that.
really want to start, helping the EV driver understand, go charge at the ultra fast, go charge at the hyper fast based on your battery size. And we
Yeah.
really believe that once we start working with the automakers, they can start educating when they do delivery of their EV, right? So you're going to charge at the hyper station,
Yep.
right? Or you're going to charge at the ultra station. And that education really needs to happen at the dealership.
Actually, it leads to my next question is education. So, is there anything that you all are doing with the manufacturers currently to try and educate them and the dealers to kind of work
Yeah.
with new EV drivers?
Yeah, so we pride ourselves into our automotive relationships. We have 17 charging agreements today,
Okay.
and we work very closely with the auto manufacturers. My team in particular works very closely with the marketing and communication teams with the automotive companies to help them, to find the right terminology on the website, their CRM communications, their email reservation communications. But then also we call it the PDI checklist, which is the uh, purchase, delivery, inspection.
Inspection?
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to think what PDI means in the automotive world. And that's really an inspection of what should a dealer do when they're doing delivery of vehicle, and one of which is making sure that they understand charging. So we work very closely with the automakers to really make sure that the terminology is going down to the dealership and then the dealer hopefully to the customer.
Customer as well. Because charging can be confusing for a lot of
Yes.
new EV drivers. Those
Yes.
who are experienced like myself or those
Mhm.
who are in the industry understand all of these technical terms.
That's correct.
But it's nice that to see that Electrify America is really trying to work with manufacturers to improve
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Because it can be confusing to a user to say, or a new EV driver to say, "Oh, go charge at the 350." Instead, you can say, "Go charge at the hyper station."
That's correct.
And they understand that short term
Yeah.
is where they can go.
And one of the things, even if they don't remember the short-term hyper, one of the things we found through our research is either they remembered the term ultra or hyper or the lightning bolts.
Lightning bolts on the bottom.
Right.
I love that
Exactly.
detail.
So
Yeah.
right. So it's either 2 lightning bolts or for the ultra, or 3, which means more power, right?
Yep.
And it's kind of, if you think about it, like Yelp or Google ratings, right? The more
It's
more
the
stars,
the
right? And
yeah.
so we found that people were either remembering the bolts or the name, depending on the way that they remember information.
Okay.
And so that was really good feedback in our user research. And so we're looking to kind of roll that out into our charging stencils that are going to be on the actual
The
spots.
actual spots. Oh, that'd be
Right, so
awesome.
3 bolts or 2 bolts, so that way they can just immediately pull in and say, okay, 3 bolts means hyper. I'm going to go charge here. Yeah.
That's nice because like sometimes whenever you pull into, like for example in Cleveland, I'm by one of the oldest EA stations.
One of our first ones,
They're
yes.
one of the very, very first ones, and it's always, you have to remember, 2 and 3 are 350s, 1 and 4 are the
Yep.
150s. It's going to be so nice to have that printed.
Yeah, right on the
and also
right on the part.
stickers as well.
That's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, and so we found part of our research actually when people were pulling into the station, they weren't actually seeing the label, and then they didn't know what the 350 or the 150 meant. So now actually taking the new Ultra and the Hyper and putting it into the stencils with the lightning bolts, it's making this connection. And we know it's all about repeating things over and over and over again for the drivers to remember. And so you're going to see us really starting to educate this through all of our communication channels, but working very closely with the automotive companies.
Oh, good. It's
Yeah.
going to be so cool to kind of pull up to a new charger and then see the new
Yeah,
labels
right?
out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of the new chargers, the old ones currently, there are some that are kind of out there
Yep.
that may not work or always have issues. Are you guys going to be replacing those with the new ones that you just came out with?
Yeah, so obviously reliability and quality is one of our top pillars that we look at. So we have identified, you're absolutely right, we have identified around 300 plus chargers that we're actually that aren't meeting our reliability standards. And so we're actually in the process of working with the site host to schedule the construction, and we're going to replace it with our next generation charger. That again is designed, inspired by the customer feedback, but also working and taking the lessons learned from our earlier technology to make sure we're bringing the best product to market.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited for these new ones because I like
I
that
know.
there's a little like elastic part so you can actually pull it.
It's
to the front of the
extractable
vehicle.
cable. Yeah, exactly.
I really appreciate that too on chargers because especially the charge ports are on any body
That's
panel
correct.
of
Of the
any
vehicle.
EV. Yeah.
Yep.
It's not like one single one is in one spot at all times. So it's nice to actually have that extra long cable.
Yeah. It's actually 16 feet in length,
I was
believe it
gonna
or not.
ask how long it was.
Yeah,
Wow,
believe it or
60
not.
feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we really tested it in our Center of Excellence, which is our testing facility, on all the different EVs and charge ports to make sure that it would work. And
Just
yeah.
on every single car, just to make
Oh
sure you
yeah,
can plug
absolutely,
in. Yeah.
absolutely.
I have to say too, I've always loved lighting on the Electrify America
Yeah.
chargers, and I love
The green glow?
The green glow. It's
I
always my
know.
favorite
Yeah.
to pull up
Same
to.
with
I
mine
love
too.
it.
Same with mine. We actually have been really leaning into the green glow because, like, when you pull, especially if you're a new EV driver, you're not necessarily. What does a charger look like, right?
Yeah, right.
And so, one of the things that we've been talking to the auto companies is like look for the green glow because at night they just simply glow.
You can see them.
You can
Yeah,
see them,
yeah.
right? And so they're easy to identify and spot. And so that is definitely one of our signature trademarks. And I think you're going to see us leaning more into the green glow.
Cool. Another question I wanted to ask on the green glow too, is there any status indicators on if a vehicle is already plugged into the station from far away or if it's
Yeah,
not working
yeah.
properly?
So it doesn't change color,
Okay.
but in our app, will tell you if the vehicle, or sorry, if this particular charger is in service
being used.
or is it under maintenance.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, our app, if you log into our app, you can see real-time data.
You can see like charging or
Exactly,
unavailable.
right, 100%.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like how tall they are too.
It's 8 feet.
I always love how they stand out.
I
So
know.
you know from a parking lot, you're like, oh, they're all the way
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah, and this design here, we actually designed it with the renowned designer Attella Design.
Okay.
And so this design here is being produced by our hardware manufacturers. And so we are quite proud of it. And we think it's, not only is it, thinner and sleeker, but it still has that 8 feet tall.
8 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
you
so
can
we
actually
think the
see it.
design is really spectacular.
That's awesome. I love those. And I was going to ask too, with the new chargers, I know there are some locations like here in Southern California and Arizona and Nevada that get a lot of sun.
Yeah.
Will there be canopies on any of the new
Yeah.
chargers?
So we actually are installing about 100 single point canopies. So like
Okay.
at different stations, so
Different,
100
okay.
stations.
Mhm.
And the single point canopies were actually rolled out in Canada for their extreme weather, and they performed really, really well. And so we've identified these stations where it may be extreme weather from cold to heat, and we'll provide single point canopy covering over these stations. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah. And so that is in the works. Obviously, in the holiday season, there's some blockout timing where some malls don't want us doing construction, etc.
Right,
So
right.
we're in the process of now trying to schedule those construction dates for these
Okay.
canopies. Yeah.
Nice. I think this would be really, I'm excited to try one of these stations
Yeah.
whenever they roll out.
Yeah.
Hopefully Cleveland gets both of theirs replaced because we have the original ones from when EA was
You-
first rolling
Well,
out.
if you are probably early technology, then I probably would suspect you might be on the list.
Okay. We're super excited to try these out. We have a Tesla Model 3 that is CCS ready. So we have a brand new
Amazing.
Model 3 and then also have a Mini Cooper electric that we can test on
That's
the
so
EA
cool.
network. So, and also we get press cars as well. So
Yeah.
we're excited to, we're going to probably scout one of these out just to
Yeah.
try it out because I really want to see what it's
Absolutely,
like.
in the
out there
wild.
world.
Yes,
Yeah, it'd be
yes.
so awesome.
Absolutely.
And then speaking of the mobile app, is there going to be, is there any research or new designs that are coming
yeah.
out for the mobile app?
Yeah, so actually, we're in the middle of now 6 months. It'll be a total of 6 month research. We're halfway through it of
Okay.
new usability screens for customers.
Oh, awesome.
Yes,
Awesome.
and
Okay.
so we have a really robust digital roadmap, and everything we do is based on customer research.
Okay.
It's not just because we like the design, right? So we're in the middle of usability testing right now for
Okay.
HMI screens in our app.
Nice. Do you have different types of focus groups
Oh,
for
yes.
usability? Okay.
Yeah, we have experienced EV drivers, new EV drivers, people who are not even searching for EVs,
Okay.
and then obviously a range of drivers. So even Tesla drivers,
Mhm.
Nissan Leaf drivers. But we have 3 different segments. We call them the early EV adopters, the EV driver of tomorrow, and those who are not even in the market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I like that you guys are focusing on all
All
the
customer segments.
All the customer segments. It's
Yep.
very important to kind of get that, whether you are experienced and have been using EA for multiple years, or you're brand new, or not
That's
even
correct.
thinking about going electric.
Yeah.
But now you want to know.
Absolutely.
And I have to say, I think EA is one of my favorite apps to use. I find it very easy to use,
Good.
and I always welcome new improvements. So I'm
Yeah.
very excited to hear that
Yes.
you guys are in the middle.
We
middle
are.
Of that. So that's
We
awesome.
absolutely are, and I think you will, and our customers will be very excited about what we have in store with not only with our HMI screens, but also the app roadmap.
Cool. Is there going to be any more status indicators if there is service being done to a station, then you're coming up to it in
Yeah.
the new app. Okay.
Yeah, so that's also part of the roadmap right
Okay.
now, and we're actually testing some of the iconography.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of differentiate like
Right.
which
What could it look
ones.
like if a charger's in service
Mhm.
or being replaced with a Canopy station
Mhm.
or the new Gen 4 charger? And so we're testing some of the iconography right now of what resonates best with EV drivers.
Cool. And then speaking of the labels on the new chargers too, I wanted to know about the coloration. Like, how did you
Yeah.
guys come up with? So, you have the blue for the CHAdeMO, and then you
Yeah.
kind of go teal, and you kind of go green.
Emerald.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, honestly, the colors weren't necessarily our main point. The main point was the name, which, as I
Mhm.
mentioned, we whittled down tons of names, and then the lightning bolts, right?
Right.
And so the teal for Ultra and the Emerald was tested out in the wild in nighttime, daylight, extreme conditions, heat conditions, etc. And then also with some user focus groups.
Okay.
And I don't know if green is just somewhat welcoming and people just feel like it is, but they kept testing very positively the teal and the emerald. We actually already have other, names for beyond, the
Mhm.
350 that we're not sharing today, but they were definitely user researched and tested. And to us, it was more about that you could actually see it in the daylight and also night, but also that the customers, what were they drawn to from a color wise. So
Mhm.
again, the EV customer really helped us kind of get
That helped
there.
get there. Cool.
Yeah.
And I think the green and the emerald kind of obviously match the green glow of the EA
Yeah.
station, so maybe they were attracted to both
Maybe,
of us.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, once again, I just want to thank Misty from Electrify America for this time at Fluid Charge Live. Really appreciate her time in answering questions about Electrify America and the future of what they're doing to improve usability for existing and new drivers. So, once again, this is Howard with Everyday EV and Clean Technica, and I'll see you guys in the next one.